I'm not sure I learned anything new yesterday, but I did have a revelation about a thing or two I had learned over my lifetime, but had not thought about lately. I visited a friend who is in assisted living yesterday afternoon, and bless her heart, she's just a worrier. I remember that I have been a worrier in my life, and I expect most of us have, but she is perhaps better at it than some of the rest of us are. And she was worrying about a neighbor of hers at home and how the woman who is older than my friend, living alone, as my friend does, and my friend was just concerned and worried about her. And she made the comment, she said, I just worry about her all the time. And a thought came to me, and I expressed it to her. I hadn't thought of it before, but I said, what would you do with that part of your brain that spends time worrying about your neighbor? What would you do with all that part of your brain if you didn't fill it with worry? And she immediately said, I'd study religion. And I thought, well, that's an appropriate thing to do, to fill your brain rather than worry. I think that's one of the things we're not supposed to do, consider the lilies of the field and all that. But I had to laugh, and I said, well, what do you want to learn about religion? And she looked at me as if I had lost my mind. She said, well, you know. And I said, well, what? And she said, I want to learn about the Bible. And I said, well, I expect that would be fairly simple to do, to get some materials to learn about the Bible, to fill your brain so you don't have to worry so much. And she thought that was a good idea. I have no idea whether we'll get it done or not. But on the way home, I was thinking about that. What would you do with that part of your brain that would be available to you if you didn't fill it with worry? Or in my case, and this was years ago, mine was filled with envy. And I have to tell you, I always wanted to be Liza Minnelli. And I couldn't be Liza Minnelli because she got there first. And I also always wanted to be Julie London. And of course, the same problem. Julie London got there first, and so there was no room left for me to be Liza Minnelli or Julie London. And so, and the reason I wanted to be is for Julie London, I wanted to sing in a piano bar, torch songs in a piano bar, and wear a chiffon dress that floated as I walked into near the piano. For Liza Minnelli, I wanted to be that talented, that absolutely brilliant with her voice and her moves and everything. I just totally admired her. But I wasn't either Julie London or Liza Minnelli. I was just me. And I didn't realize it at the time I was doing it. But while I was teaching middle schoolers American history and language arts, we had times in which, well, you know what middle schoolers are like, which they would get totally uninterested in whatever I was doing. And once in a while, I would just break forth into song. Usually it had something to do with the subject. If it were language arts, I might have started singing, "Hey, you're adorable," just to have the alphabet in front of us. And if it was social studies, who knows what I would sing? Maybe America the Beautiful, I don't know. But anyway, I would just burst out in song and occasionally do a little dance along with it, and we would all laugh, and then we would get back to business. And I realized yesterday, as I was coming home from visiting my friend, that the part of my brain that I had filled with envy for probably a good half of my lifetime was filled with satisfaction that I was who I am. And I laughed all the way home because I had learned a thing or two. Thanks.